something to offer, the show that goes to the heart of people living their dreams. And we'll meet them in just a moment. Hi, I'm so excited to share a little bit more of my trip to Jacksonville, really the theaters there. So we were, the last episode, we were having a wonderful interview from Michelle Kindy, the GM of Theater Jax is what they call it there, the Theater of Jacksonville. So we're going to show a clip of the outside of the theater, which tells you a little bit about the theater, and then we'll come back for a minute and go into about two-thirds of the way into the interview where we didn't get to hear the end, and she talks about this theater for infant program that they have, and then goes on to more things about the theater. And then we're going to find out about some other theaters and see my dear friend Gloria at her film shoot, and those are what we're going to do today. We'll see you in just a moment. Hey, it's Anne-Marie here, and I'm in Jacksonville, and you know I like to shoot episodes on location. Jacksonville is where my dear friend Gloria Ware lives, Gloria Duncan Ware. We did theater together. She helped me produce my first shows at M&N. She's inside there right now teaching an acting class, so I cannot interrupt. But I'm going to have an opportunity to talk to one of the general managers of the theater, Michelle Windy. And this theater is a historical landmark. The theater itself, the inception of this theater started in 1919. This building, I think, had its first play in it in 1926, and it is a historical landmark building. Everything is as it was, so we're going to go inside in a minute, and then we'll meet Michelle, and maybe we'll even get to talk to Gloria again about all her work. Jacksonville is a plethora of great theaters, and this is one of the most highly regarded theaters in community theaters that is ongoing all the time in the United States. And it is considered the Jacksonville Theater, you know, their main theater. Okay. We're back. So we're going to go right into Michelle Kindy. You heard me say Windy on there. I think it's because it was windy out. I decided to say Windy instead of Kindy, but it's Kindy, K-I-N-D-Y. She's lovely, and without further ado, we're going to go right to the GM of the Jacksonville Theater.
It's delicious.
You want to keep baking more cakes.
Exactly.
Can we talk about now, what is the impact on the young people? Because I know, you know, you have the youth program, but also Gloria was mentioning just in Jacksonville alone, there is a theater, like a high school that focuses on the arts, and then many of those students, I think, come to the different theaters and do internships and all kinds of things. So that really gives them a good seat. What kind of joys or experiences do you see from them, or the kind of feedback, or the way they run in and out with their energy, or what have you?
It's familiar, given where my roots come from in terms of my love of theater and how it was introduced to me. But the Duval County Public School has two performing arts schools. For lack of they have a middle school, which I didn't have where I grew up. I went to elementary school and high school. Well, this is a middle school, La Villa, and then they have a high school, Douglas Anderson, which I have been lucky enough to work with kids from both of those programs, sometimes because they are on stage with us, and sometimes because they're backstage with us, and they want to learn about how, beyond just picking up a role and taking on an entity and being part of the storytelling, how do they support that storytelling? And we also do, because we have such a strong director of education and our education program here, we have been able to we do classes that those kids will come into, and kids from all the other high schools, and our homeschool kids, you know, they all have very STEAM focused programming here in terms of, you know, science, technology, but the arts is a big component of that, and as a result, it has become one of those things where folks are looking for more exposure. And as the public school systems, you know, are all under the squeeze when it comes to funding, the arts sometimes get short shrift, and we're happy to be able to have the
supplement that in their life,
the talent to be able to do that. And one of the ways we do it is the junior main stage. And our director of education writes a show. In this case, this year it's the Odyssey.
Oh, nice.
It'll be a 1 hour version of the Odyssey that he's scripted. He holds open auditions. Kids came from, I think it was 13 middle and high schools. They're 13 to 18-year-olds. And he cast it. There's only, in this case, I think it was less than 20 roles that he was able to cast. But they're coming from all over, and that show goes up during my show. So we've weaved our set design and our scenic design and our lighting design together to be able to not just tell my story, it's actually not mine, it's Norm Foster's, Old Love, with the Odyssey. And that will happen in March. And it gives kids that otherwise would not have, and it's free of charge. They get not only the experience of building a show together and the teamwork that it takes for a cast to come together, but also, the benefits of working with our director of education. And sometimes that's all the spark you need to turn that little firefly into, that's a mission after that to be involved in the arts. So we're very lucky that way to be able to work with so many other partners. And then we also have a program that goes to the other end of the spectrum.
For the senior and older, or for kids? Oh, okay.
Actually, it's called Theater for Babies.
Oh, I saw that too, yes.
And it's a program that is from 3 months to 12 months old. And the reason why they graduate out at 12 months is because it's usually when they start to stand. And when at the stage of development in terms of early learning, there's a million things going on in their little brains, in that first 9 months, but it's the first year, and then there's this transition, and of course everything shifts and changes. So this program is, comes from Canada, and it's from the Theatre for Young People that do it, and we have a whole history of how we brought it here to Jacksonville on our website. But it is this great program where you get to go in and just see their little minds, how they learn. Like, they're learning 50,000 units of information towards our 5,000 units of information. And it's just the idea of how they process, how they grasp. That idea of peekaboo, the science behind it is great and sound, and it's wonderful. But for me, the science is secondary. Being in the room and watching those babies sit and absolutely focused 100% for 22 minutes on the little show that is put on and built specifically for them. As a grown-up, I told you I went to that festival in Copenhagen back in 2011 and saw similar programs. And sitting there as an adult without any kids in the room, I was like, oh, this is weird. You get in there and you realize that it's not for you. It's for babies, and they zero in and focus in, and next thing you know, as a parent or as a caregiver or just someone who has children that age in your life, you realize, oh my, do I ever know how to entertain them? Because it's like you're using all these household items, and there's nothing magic about it, and yet in the end it's all magic.
Right. It's so cool.
It really is a fabulous program. We're really thrilled to have been able to bring it and develop our own show here using all of the principles, and to be able to share it in our community. Because again, fostering the arts, fostering the concept of communication and storytelling early, and the tools that you have, your voice and your body and your song and all of that, is just one of those situations where any opportunity that you can do that, I feel is your responsibility to do it. And we're lucky enough that we found this and we're able to bring this, and are thrilled that the community is responding so strongly about it as well.
And that's really great. So just a couple other quick questions for you. So being the GM, I don't know how challenging that is. And like the lessons learned from having to do the minutia and the, coordinating, organizing, then you've acted, you direct.
Oh, no.
You never direct. Oh, you never acted. Oh, I thought you did. You've always directed. Okay, great. Oh, no, I thought Gloria said you did. But what is your favorite thing, being able to direct and watch people create, or does the GM thing just become a greater extension of that because you're over several productions that are happening during a year?
Part of the job description of, and it's probably not the norm, but, this is a volunteer-based organization with 4 full-time employees, and it's one of those things where, as the 5th one, and I've only been brought on in the last couple of years, it's really everything that I do in my job is somebody else's job here. I'm doing it temporarily because of the fact that they're doing a 100-year endowment, which is to make sure that operationally this theater sees another 100 years. And as Sarah Boone, the executive director, is focused on that, she can't do that and do business as usual. So due to the generosity of the DuPont Fund, I am here, the Jessie Ball DuPont Fund, I am here for 2 years. But the best thing that I enjoy, so I often people say, what's your job as GM? And I'm like, well, honestly, it's to make sure that there's toilet paper in the bathrooms. It's like the whole idea of, it's like, if you can think of the smallest and the largest responsibility, that's all I'm there to do, is just to fill in the blanks while they add to what they already do. And everyone here does such an amazing job. It's just a little bit of extra help and support so that they can actually focus on the work at hand. My favorite job, without bar none, is always audience member. And as much as I enjoy directing and watching a story come to life, my favorite job in theater is to be sitting in the audience, literally taking advantage of all of the benefits of all of the work and all of the efforts and all of the energy, to be able to sit there and go, yeah, I'm rooting for you, kid. You know, I can't wait to see how this turns out. To sit there at intermission and talk with my fellow patrons about what it is that we're seeing in the story we think we're being told, but we're not sure yet, and because there's a whole bunch more to go, or to talk about who we saw on stage that, oh gosh, I know that person. All of that, my favorite role when it comes to theater is patron, is to sit there and watch the benefit, to reap all the benefits of all of the story and all of the work that went into telling that story. As far as in theater, I will tell you, it's good to be queen. You know, when the thing about theater is there's a hierarchy, and when you are the director and you have a vision, it's good to know that you're working with a team that's all they want to do is have that vision come together. But I also enjoy being the person who helps somebody put that together. So production management and stage management, being able to have someone come to the table with a great idea, but not entirely sure how to make it come together, and to be a part of that team that actually makes it come together. There are no bad positions. Like, there really are there's nothing when you're involved in theater, that concept of no small parts, regardless of how much you want to be a part of it, nothing happens if everyone's not staying in their lane, playing their position, and doing the best that they can at what they're tasked with, because that task becomes part of the whole, and that whole is what the storytelling is all about.
Great. One last thought, or more, I don't know. What is your greatest, you just talked about being on. What's the biggest gift you've received from your journey in life thus far, and what is the greatest gift you feel you get to give? That's kind of heavy, I know, but I hope you can go there. Okay. Yeah,
it can be, but I think for me, and I've said this before, I'm a person who collects people. Some people collect things, other people collect experiences. I have been so lucky in my travels in life, and I have had many chapters, that I meet and connect with people, and seemingly like you're going to meet somebody that you're standing in line for coffee with, and then all of a sudden they turn into part of your forever world. And that has to be the best gift that's ever been given to me, is the relationships and the people that I've met.
That's humanity's magic, I think, yeah.
Absolutely, and I don't think I have any other environment where I've been as lucky to have that magic happen to me as when I'm in and part of a theatrical production, or just that it's that shared experience again. As far as the gift that I give back, that's a bit tougher, because I never feel like there's any one thing that I do that I could wrap up that's separate and not connected to these people. Because the gift that I give back is to be part of that whole, to be able to assist someone. Sometimes I have a nickname. It's a tough one, but I've earned it. I'm a dream killer. And people go, oh, that sounds terrible. And I'm like, but it's one of those things where someone comes to me with an idea.
You gotta give them the hardball line.
Well, it's not even that. I ask questions because I want to be able to understand it. And by the time I get to the third question, if they can't figure it out and I can't figure out how to help them, they feel like I may or may not have trampled on their dreams. But in the end, I feel like being willing to go to the table, or when someone asks me there, to help them figure something out, and the best answer is maybe this is not the time, or maybe this is not the thing, is what I do best. It's my strength. It's my best gift, is to help people really see their way clear to making their dreams come true. And sometimes that is seeing their way clear is to seeing that this isn't the time, or this isn't the dream. So I have an apron and a t-shirt and a tiara. It's wow. The thing is the people who I've done this with, who have had to have the hardest response, or for them, that it's not my response, it's just that they've come to the sort of the toughest of conclusions for themselves, have been grateful that they didn't feel that they wasted their time. And I think the universe had bigger things planned.
Right, or I was going to say, they may have come back with something bigger and better later on.
Absolutely. And they will, they'll write me a letter of recommendation if I ever need one to be a dream killer.
Oh, great. Well, I want to thank you for being on the show that has been a dream of my life most of my life. So thank you for being with us today. I really appreciate it.
I thank you so much for having
me.
And
thanks for doing this great theater work here in Jacksonville.
Thank you. Yay!
And then when we get back, I did that interview Saturday, my first day there, and Gloria was teaching the class. And then on Sunday, Gloria was working on a film with a man named Drew L. Brown, who he's an actor, he's an editor, director, and she said everyone wants to work with him all the time. We're going to show a little bit of that. That's a little slide from The Gray Area. He's working on a film called The Gray Area, which is a film written by, and they're sort of co-producing it. The woman's name is Keegan. I do not know her last name, but it's really based on her true life story, because she doesn't identify as any, she's a woman, but people always try to peg her. Is she transgender? Is she this and that? She's just who she is. And all the people, that's why it's called The Gray Area, and all she's gone through. And actually, Gloria, you'll see a picture come up with a woman in orange. It's a scene that in the film that that's just an advertisement for something else. It's going to come up in a minute if you keep scrolling in a second yet. And that's Gloria right there, who's in a bathroom, and this Keegan really walks in, the real Keegan, and it's her film. It's sort of a documentary. And Gloria just gets really angry at her, and she's in the wrong bathroom and everything. So, but it's going to be a great film, and we're going to take a moment for an offering, and when we come back, we're going to show, I guess, a few more of those, and then I have a couple little clips that I shot while they were actually doing it. I couldn't go right in, but you get to see the crew kind of shooting, and Gloria, and then Gloria chats for a minute after. So we'll see you in just a minute after the offering, and then Yael's going to have to come in and out because they're very short clips, and she needs a minute to prep everyone. It's a great quote. And we're back. Gloria, do you think you found, Gloria, Yael, do you think you found the video of Gloria? Because that one I forgot to, did you look for it yet?
I can't read the folder.
What happened?
In the same folder.
It's in the same folder, yeah. She's got orange on, so that's when after the shoot, but there was a couple of videos of the shoot. If you can't find them, we'll just move on. I don't know if I'll get to read this, but I'm in Jacksonville, and I'll just let you know my dear friend Gloria is back behind this way, working on a scene for an independent documentary film, and hopefully she'll share a little bit about it with us later. I don't want to get too far in, but you can see the crew back there, just in the shadows. It's a very cool documentary, and the writer is the theme of the documentary as well. So hopefully we'll get to hear about it a little bit later. And there's two more from that, but I know now Yael have to go back in and look while I'm speaking. But yeah, this young man, he's amazing because when he was in college, he won the Gold Medal Academy Award for one of his films as a. Rose down there on the beach, and they just nailed the shoot, I'm pretty sure, so I'm coming by just to get a little something glorious. There she is. There she is. They're hugging her and thanking her. Gloria nailed it, and they're hugging her and thanking her down there. Okay, and then there's one more you'll see where she's in the orange, Yael. And then Gloria just talks a little bit about working in Jacksonville and all the talented folks that are there, because there's just amazing art. And I'm following you a little bit. She just nailed it, but I don't have the mic on, so I hope we get some of this. But I know Gloria just nailed it. That's Gloria Duncan, star of theater and film and television out here in Jacksonville. So we don't have a lot of audio, but we'll talk to Gloria later while she's packing up. I mean, not while she's packing up, when I put the mic on, but looks like she nailed it pretty quick. Did you have fun?
Yes, it's fantastic. Let me tell you, the people here in Jacksonville are so talented. It's amazing, the talent that lives in this town. There's like an undercurrent of amazing talent in every aspect of the arts in Jacksonville, and you guys need to know about it. It's amazing.
All right, thank you. So we're back, and then after Gloria changed out of that, she said, you know, I want to take you to a couple of the other theaters I work at, and she took me to Theater by the Sea. And we walked through the doors of that lobby, and I heard these angelic voices. I said, I feel like I'm on Broadway. They were doing what I think the word is SIDS Pro, the first time the actors get with the orchestra. And we're going to show that. Oh, you did find more gray. Oh, you're just telling me a little more. Okay, she's showing a few more slides from gray area first. Okay. Okay, don't do that yet, though. Okay, that's that video for the Madison County. Okay. So we went in the theater, and they were rehearsing the Bridges of Madison County, but Yael, we have a clip from the production with them in their costumes, probably from a rehearsal. But the day I went there, they were closed. It was so amazing. So is that the one from Theater by the Sea, Yael, that you have up there right now? The 3-minute clip? Yeah. Okay, so we'll show that, and then we'll come back and take an offering and talk about 2 other theaters really quick. And also, before you show that, Yael, I should say, and we'll show his thing later, there's a man there named, that I met, lovely man, Lee Hamby, and he was musically directing the show, or he was directing the show here, and he runs a theater called the Five and Dime Theater that we'll see a little bit of too. So just a lot of lovely people all working together, and they float back and forth from all these theaters. Go ahead, Yael, with that video. Thanks.
Story because it's a problematic story, really, at its core. It's a story where none of the characters are completely innocent. People aren't perfect. People can still be imperfect and still be characters that are admirable.
It's a show about new love, the joy of love, but on the other side, the tragedy of love. It centers around a woman, Francesca.
She met her husband in Italy after World War II, and he brought her back to this very domestic life where she's raising her children and working on a farm. Her husband and her children leave for a few days, and then she meets this man.
My character is Robert Kincaid. He's a photographer, and he lives a very nomadic life, disconnected from people. Because of his traveling, he doesn't have any long-standing, relationships or ties to family and friends.
When she meets him, she remembers the dreams that she had as a girl and some of the regrets she may have had in her life as she's lived it.
They have an immediate connection.
Okay, great. So yeah, it goes on. I don't know if there's any singing in there. Maybe while we're doing some.
Not loading properly,
That's why. So we're going to move on, but it's great.
Inside your show, 24 minutes.
Okay, great. We have 24 minutes in. Okay, so then, okay, so we have. So now we're going to go to All Beaches Experimental Theater. So I went there, and I think you have that there. It's AB. Yeah. Oh, yes. No, that's the other one. That's okay. That's theater by this. This is the Five and Dime Theater. Yeah, that's perfect. That's the one that Mr. Hamby does. So this is what their theater does. And now All Beaches Theater is right here. Go ahead. Yeah, I think that's got a little slideshow. Yeah, there you go. Now this is a wonderful small theater. It's like a little off-Broadway house. And they do more of the experimental theater. Gloria directed a play at Christmas time there. So, and they were setting up a new play when I was there. They were starting to load the set in. And there's just tons and tons of theater. And they're in a shopping mall. They used to be Atlantic Beach Theater, but then they had to move off Atlantic Beach, so they called it All Beach Theater, so they could keep the same, branding and everything. So, so that is great. Now, I don't know how many minutes we have left because now I have a few minutes of time. I think I've showed you everybody, Theater by the Sea, all Five and Dime Theater we just showed you. And yeah, so it was a really so amazing. You never know till you step outside of your own, where your own world, what can be going on other places in terms of like Jacksonville, Florida. When they moved there, I didn't know it was going to become this great, for Gloria, a great opportunity to do all kinds of roles and acting. And it's just been amazing. And she's worked on TV shows and movies. So it's great. We have one more offering. Yes, Yael, or did we do both offerings? Okay, let's take the offering, then we'll come back, and I guess we'll say goodbye, or maybe Yael will have something to say. I have no idea. Yes, so that's a great quote. They were both really great quotes, because I guess we can't worry about what happened today. We get to move on to tomorrow and what's next. And that's what's so great about, all the people and all the guests over the years, everybody's always moving on in their vision and dream, and everyone has something to offer. So we'll see you next week. Thank you for being here, and have a great week and go after your dreams. We got it all in, Yael. Oh my God.